About a month ago, just to catch everybody up, the CDC's eviction moratorium was challenged at the Supreme Court. And the court upheld the moratorium in a very conditional way. Roberts and Kavanaugh joined the three liberals on the court for a 5-4 decision. Kavanaugh wrote the ruling, and in it, it was a very strange ruling because he said, I don't think this is quite right. However, it's going to expire in a month anyways, July 31st, and it would be too difficult to suddenly cut it off now. That ruling apparently came into play when the administration, supposedly, sometime in the last week or so, members of the administration were attempting to convince Joe Biden that the administration should extend this moratorium, the CDC should extend this moratorium, even though the Supreme Court had found that they didn't have a right to issue it in the first place. Now, Kavanaugh's ruling was just sort of bizarre. But there was concern within the White House by the White House lawyers that if this makes it, and the idea was this, amongst those White House staffers, like Gene Sperling, I think even Dees agreed with it. The idea was, okay, we tie it up in the courts. That will give Treasury more time to get the rental assistance money. And Dayen will go into more specifics about this. The rental assistance money that is earmarked for people, it'll get it out the door. There has been billions of dollars available to help people pay their rent.
It's unbelievable how inefficient and how backlogged they are.
I think they've gotten out 4% of the money. I mean,
it's like $4 billion, and then there's $37 billion something still available.
Yeah,
still,
when David's here,
ridiculous.
Dayen will give us the specifics on this, but that's the dynamic. And the idea was like, well, maybe if we have more time, they'll be able to get it out the door. The fear was apparently with the White House lawyers is that may be well and good, but if it ends up at the Supreme Court again, you run the risk of essentially Kavanaugh being punitive, because this is another example of the importance of the Supreme Court, and particularly when you have a bunch of lunatics on it, that they could be punitive and not only say that the CDC, like we said before, the CDC does not have the right to do this. In fact, they could go further and undercut any authority that is based upon the health needs of the country in the context of a pandemic. And make no mistake about it, the Supreme Court has shown their willingness to take the ball when they get it and not just run across the field, but, jump on, take the football and run onto the baseball field and onto the basketball court and run through the hockey rink, and they'll go wherever they want with it. Mm-hmm. And that's, part of the concern there. So that's where we're at. And over the weekend, it expired. 2 days before the expiration, the White House basically threw it to Congress, which backfooted a lot of them. They didn't know. I mean, they had been waiting for White House guidance on this. They assumed the White House had some type of plan. Like I say, Dayen will give us a better sense of who is really to blame in that dynamic. But there was an opportunity for Congress to stay in session and attempt to deal with this. There were too many people who wanted to leave. The people who stayed, at the very least, members of the squad. Here's Cori Bush and AOC on the Capitol steps on Sunday, trying to draw attention to this and put pressure on their fellow lawmakers. Here's just a brief clip of AOC and Cori Bush talking about staying out there to illustrate the plight of potentially millions of Americans who are going to be evicted. We're going to see a big spike in eviction notices, probably filed today. Here is AOC and Cori Bush.
Estimated 7 million Americans that are currently at risk for eviction, and Congress decided to leave town for not just for the weekend, but for 7 weeks.
7 weeks
Through August. While the federal eviction moratorium is going to leave tomorrow, they didn't even try.
When Cori Bush got elected, we talked about how her experience when she was, houseless, is going to be so important to have in Congress. That kind of voice is going to be incalculably important, and we're seeing it this week. And of course, I know we're going to talk to David Dayen in a bit about who's to blame here, but honestly, the fact that if they wanted to do this through the courts, they didn't have a plan B, a separate track at the ready.
Well, they didn't.
Congress says a little bit about how committed the Biden administration was to actually making this happen. I mean, there's significant lobbying from the National Association of Realtors and groups like that are, they may want to appear like they want to get this done, but I'm not sure how sincere that is.
That's the point. I think, and Dayen will fill us in, but certainly they had at least 30 days to know that the Supreme Court had that disposition.
Right.
And, on day 30 out from the end of the moratorium is when you have that conversation about, hey, should we just try and buy more time on the 31st day, as opposed to talking about that, 2 days before the moratorium runs out. AOC was on Jake Tapper's. And look, just to build on your point, without an AOC or a Cori Bush in this House, they would have left town. There would have been marginal talk about it, and that's it. I mean, this is the value of them using things like social media and a megaphone, to the extent. Now, it may end up doing nothing, but it's certainly putting more attention on it and putting it in play than we would normally see.
Absolutely.
Folks, there's more of what you've just saw where that came from. That's if you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you. Really, thank you.